Developing right now on Morning News Now, Mother Nature's extreme show of force to start off the summer. From severe storms tearing through several states with heavy rain, flooding, and tornadoes to dangerous record-breaking heat across the country. We have team coverage with what to expect as you start your work week. Also this morning, Donald Trump's motion to dismiss his classified documents case going before a judge in Florida. We'll break down the arguments from both sides as a marathon of hearings continues. And just 3 days until the first presidential debate, speculation grows about who Trump's VP pick will be.
I've had conversations with the president, and I know that he is the only one who will be making the decisions on who will be his vice president.
We'll bring you the latest from the campaign trail. Plus, underwater dangers, a renewed warning from safety officials after nearly a dozen deaths at the beach. What you need to know about rip currents and how you can keep your loved ones safe. And Team USA going for gold. A strong showing from America's top athletes with the Summer Games nearly 1 month away. We'll have the results from this weekend's impressive Olympic trials. A lot to get to this morning. Thanks for being here. I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe and Savannah today. And we start this Monday morning with the scorching heat wave that's breaking temperature records in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic region. Tens of millions of people are waking up under heat alerts as new records are possible in 15 more states today across the plains and the Southeast. Some heat indices could reach up to 110 degrees. While in Iowa, the governor there issuing a disaster declaration for 21 counties after a levee broke, submerging one town and prompting evacuations. Some scientists say climate change is driving these extreme weather events. And our team is tracking that extreme heat. NBC News meteorologist Michelle Grossman standing by with the forecast. But we start with NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin, who is on the ground in a steamy New York City.
Hey there, it was an absolutely scorching weekend here in New York City and beyond. Out in Philadelphia, it was 98 degrees, beating a record from 1888 in Washington, D.C. It reached 100 degrees in June for the first time in over a decade. And then out in the Midwest, there was some severe flooding in Iowa, in Rock Valley. Disaster declared there for 21 counties after a levee broke, forcing evacuations. In Arizona, a woman died in Tucson in a monsoon. And then in South Dakota, another death. 4 river levels broken there as well. And then you had tornado warnings over the weekend from Massachusetts to New York. Now, scientists are pointing to climate change. They say that this extreme heat is directly linked to climate change. So this looks like this whole situation could get nothing but worse. Back to you.
More bad news there, Aaron. Thank you. And for more on that record heat and some possible severe thunderstorms looming in the Midwest, let's get a look at your Morning News Now weather. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us now. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Stephen. So good to see you. And yeah, we're going to see summer storms. We're going to see the summer heat continuing. The good news is we're seeing a reprieve in the Northeast, also the Mid-Atlantic. So hot the past couple of days. Today, much, much better. We have another break tomorrow, and then we kind of turn up the heat in the Mid-Atlantic once again on Wednesday before we start to go back down. But we do have heat across the country. 48 million people impacted by heat alerts. We have heat advisories. That's where you see the orange. We have heat watches. We have heat warnings. And we're going to see temperatures into the triple digits. We're going to see heat indices 105 to 110 in some spots. From the plains down to the southeast, the numbers will be high as we go throughout today. Also tomorrow, we're going to hold on to that heat as we go throughout most of this week. So excessive heat once again. Sioux Falls today 94, but notice the number next to it. Once you factor in the humidity, it will feel like 105. It's going to feel like 104 in Wichita, feeling like 105 in Dallas. 110 is what you will feel like in Little Rock. And we're looking at temperatures into the 90s in Birmingham, Raleigh, Brunswick, Tampa, but triple digits is what it's going to feel like once you factor in that humidity. So be careful today. You want to hydrate, stay indoors if you can, if you have air conditioning. If you need to work outdoors, try to find some shade and certainly drink lots of water as you go throughout the day. Then tomorrow, we're going to see those numbers into the 90s once again. Could see 100 degrees in some spots. But again, when you factor in that humidity, it will feel like 105 to 110 in spots. Oklahoma City, 106 will be the heat index tomorrow. We're looking at 96 as a heat index in Atlanta, 111 in Tallahassee, and 91 degrees in Tampa. But the heat index will be 103. We're going to be sweating in the south as we go throughout Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Look at Dallas. Triple digits for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's without the heat index. And Jacksonville, you're going to be hot too, into the mid-90s, 95 by Thursday, 94 on Friday. So that is the big story as we go throughout the day. Also looking at the chance for severe storms in the upper Midwest. We're looking at the chance for really strong winds over 75 miles per hour. Could see some really large hail as well. Cooler highs, as I mentioned, in New England, also parts of the Northeast. But notice in New England, you see a little green there. Also upstate New York, that's where we could see some showers, some storms, some showers falling in parts of the southeast into Florida as well, especially southern Florida. Could see some heavier showers there. Monsoon storms in the southwest, the Four Corners, and we're looking at sunshine in the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures not bad there, but we're going to be heating up in California once again. Summer storms, we're looking at that frontal system crossing the northern plains. That's going to spark the chance of some severe weather as we go throughout the afternoon into the late overnight hours. Storms ramping up later on tonight. We can see some really strong winds, some hail. So we're going to watch this very closely as we go throughout this Monday. Models indicating that we could see winds gusting over 75 miles per hour. Then tomorrow, that widespread risk from Nebraska all the way to Michigan, damaging winds once again, some large hail, and also the chance of a few tornadoes. Could see a couple tornadoes today as well. As you can see in parts of the northern plains, we're looking at lightning this morning, also seeing that heavy rain where you see those darker colors. This is going to ramp up as we go throughout the afternoon hours into the overnight hours as we kind of add in that daytime heating. And we're also seeing some hail and also some lightning and thunder in portions of Iowa as we go throughout the later part of today. 21 million people at risk for damaging winds 2 inches or larger. Could see with some winds gusting up to 75 miles per hour. A few tornadoes are possible as well, especially where you see the yellow, Fargo to Minneapolis, Des Moines, Madison, also Omaha. Then tomorrow we'll kind of see it shift a little bit to the east. So now we're talking about Des Moines, once again, Kirksville, also Chicago into Peoria. So it's the Great Lakes into the Midwest. 20 million people at risk with winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour, damaging hail, an inch or larger. Also a few tornadoes are possible. Could see some heavy rain too. We're concerned about flooding rains tomorrow, especially where you see those oranges, the reds, the yellows, Chicago. You could see some flooding rains tomorrow, also north of Indianapolis. But anywhere where you see this rain falling, the green, also you could see some really heavy rainfall over the next couple of days. Stephen?
All right, a lot going on. Michelle, thanks for that very thorough update. We appreciate it. All right, and turning now to former President Donald Trump's legal battles, which continue now in Florida as a 3-day marathon of hearings for the federal classified documents case moves forward. Court is set to resume this morning to deal with several outstanding motions submitted by Trump's legal team. At least 2 of these motions are asking to have special counsel Jack Smith removed and ultimately dismissing the case. The trial, which was initially set to begin last month, has been plagued with delays and is now postponed indefinitely. Trump faces several charges in this case, accusing him of illegally holding top secret files at his Mar-a-Lago property and obstructing the FBI's efforts to have those files returned. The former president has denied any wrongdoing. NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos joins me now with more on this. So, Danny, let's recap how we left all of this on Friday, which seems like a long time ago now. Judge Cannon holding that 4-hour hearing to talk about whether Jack Smith should have even been appointed, if that was constitutional at all. Remind us of what happened and what we're looking ahead to now.
So we have 3 different motions, essentially. On Friday, the argument was that the appointment of Jack Smith was unconstitutional. This is an argument that has been tried before. It is a long-shot argument. But, Stephen, as a defense attorney, a lot of your arguments are long-shot arguments. You make them, you know you're probably going to lose at the trial court, and you hope maybe on appeal, if things go bad, that you might have some issue that could result in a new trial or an overturning of a conviction. But again, this is a long shot, but you got to try what you're going to try. What's interesting to me is just how much briefing and how much evidence Judge Cannon has taken on this issue. Even at the end of the hearing, she asked for additional briefing on the issue. I get it. Judges want to get all the information they can get, but there's got to be a point where you say, I've got enough, I can make a decision.
Yeah, that was a long hearing already. And so today the judge is set to hear the arguments about these 2 motions, one from the defense funding Smith's position to begin with, and the other one from the prosecution about a potential gag order for Trump in this case. How do you see these playing out today?
Yeah, in the federal system, it's not exactly called a gag order. It's really just a motion to modify conditions of release, really affecting the bail issue. And so what the government's saying is that because the law requires or focuses on the threat to the public, that the conditions of release should be modified to order Trump to not speak about things like he did with the FBI search warrant application or the documents, which contain some boilerplate language that, hey, by the way, FBI agents carry firearms and, you know, they're authorized to use deadly force. The problem is that Trump turned that into they're trying to kill me. And here's the thing with gag orders of all kinds. On each side, there's an argument, there's a concern. On the one hand, we shouldn't silence people, even criminal defendants, just because the judge or the prosecution doesn't like what they're saying. But on the other hand, if there is a credible threat to the government and government agents, and normally with any other defendant that you've never heard of, if he gets on Twitter or X and says something bad about the government, they're prosecuting me, they have it in for me, nobody cares. But we've never had a defendant like this before who can get on social media and rally people without actually saying the thing he wants them to do, but by essentially suggesting it through some other statement. There could be a real threat there. The problem is a lot of it is like a Rorschach test. You know, how do you know what exactly Trump is asking his followers to do or signaling them to do? So it's a tough balancing test, and the judge, I expect, might take a lot of time on this one, too.
Yeah, more uncharted territory there. Let's quickly get to this last question. The judge will hear arguments for the affidavits on the Mar-a-Lago search, and it could ultimately lead to a Franks hearing. Walk us through what a Franks hearing is.
A Franks hearing is basically a hearing named after a Supreme Court case, Franks v. Delaware, and it's where you challenge the truth of the statements that go into a search warrant. In order to search your home, the government has to go to a judge, a magistrate, and give them an affidavit and say, this is all the stuff that we believe makes up probable cause, because probable cause is the magic language that you need to make your search warrant constitutional. So the judge hears this stuff. It's ex parte. It means it's one-sided. Obviously, the defense is not there in the room. So the judge decides, OK, well, the FBI agent says we've got these communications, all this stuff shows probable cause. The defense, after the fact, after the search warrant's been executed, can challenge that in a hearing and say, hey, the information that this agent gave the judge was false, and therefore the entire search warrant's no good, and therefore all the evidence obtained should be thrown out. It's, again, another long shot, but if successful, wow, it could throw out a large swath of evidence.
Throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks, it sounds like.
It's our job. That's all we do.
Danny Savalos, thanks so much. All right, now to more Decision 2024 with just 3 days to go until the first presidential debate. Preparations and anticipation ramping up ahead of that big night. President Biden and former President Trump will debate Thursday night in Atlanta for 90 minutes without a live audience present. For more on what we can expect, we're joined by NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa and NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. Good morning to you both. And Vaughn, let's start with you and the Trump campaign. We're less than a month away now until the Republican National Convention kicks off in Milwaukee. What do we know about former President Trump's search for a running mate? Where do things stand right now?
Look at the timeline that we're looking at, Steve. We're looking at July 15th, which is just 3 weeks from today. That is the beginning of the Republican National Convention, where Donald Trump's name will formally be put into nomination, as well as his running mate's name. And so we should expect over the next 21 days to get a name. And the question is who? Just this weekend, he held the campaign rally on Saturday in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And before going to that rally, he stopped at a restaurant where our colleagues Dasha Burns and Jake Traylor were, and they shouted a question to him about whether he had determined who his VP running mate this go-around is going to be. Of course, Mike Pence, who was his vice president back 4 years ago, they ended on not great terms after January 6th. Mike Pence went forward with the counting of electoral votes, and that is what led Donald Trump to look for a new VP mate. And when asked that question by our colleagues whether he had come up with his decision, he said, in my head, yes. But exactly who is that? It's not clear. He did indicate, however, that that person will be in Atlanta, Georgia for that debate on Thursday night alongside of him. So we'll see if we get any clues from there.
Well, it'd be good to have some answers. The speculation on that has been going for what seems like forever now. And Ali, let's bring you in here now on how President Biden is preparing for this week's debate. What do we know about his strategy going into Thursday?
Yeah, Stephen. Well, President Biden is continuing to use the perks of his position to prep for Thursday night. He's been at Camp David since Thursday night, really deep in these intensive debate preparation sessions that are being led by his former chief of staff, Ron Klain. And this is really an all hands on deck process. You have the president surrounded by some of his closest allies, advisors, campaign staffers. These are people like National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, his campaign manager, Julie Chavez Rodriguez, as well as his personal personal lawyer, former White House counsel Bob Bauer, who is reprising his role playing former President Trump during these mock debate sessions that the president is doing. And all of these people are lending their expertise, their experiences to the president as he pores over policy material to be able to, on the debate stage Thursday night, contrast his vision, his record with that of former President Trump's. They're also honing responses to what they see as the inevitable, these personal jabs they expect former President Trump to take on President Biden around his age, his mental fitness. And they're also preparing the president for possibly some factors in the room on Thursday night that may take him and as well as former President Trump out of their comfort zone. We know that this debate on Thursday night is going to enact some strict speaking limitations. There's also going to be a ban on speaking with their staffers during breaks as well as notes. And there, of course, will not be any audience in the room on Thursday night, Stephen.
Yes, and I'm excited to see how the muting the microphones will actually play out on Thursday, Allie. And Allie, on that front, I wanted to ask you about this recent Fox News poll showing President Biden with a 2-point lead over Mr. Trump, falling within the margin of error there. It's expected the president is going to have this tactic as part of his strategy to bring up Trump's felony convictions during the debate. That's expected to happen. What more can you tell us about that tactic?
Yeah, and we heard more about that from Biden campaign co-chair Mitch Landrieu, who was on Meet the Press yesterday. And he hinted that the president would seize on Thursday night on that felony conviction in former President Trump's hush money trial last month in New York City, saying that the president would talk about that and really call attention to the fact that now the former president is a, quote, twice impeached felony criminal. And this follows this pattern the Biden team has taken in recent weeks to really seize and lean in on that conviction after, remember, for months, the president avoided talking about the former president's legal woes. And some Democrats criticized him for that decision. Now the Biden team leaning into that. They have a new ad out talking about this felony conviction. And they say that that's really just the beginning, that they're planning to continue to keep that in the spotlight to really draw a contrast between these two men leading into November, guys.
And Vaughn, how about on the former president's side? How's Trump preparing for the debate?
It's not exactly clear, if I may, Steve. It's not what President Biden is doing. He has not gone to an isolated area and is not apparently, according to at least campaign advisors, doing mock debates. You know, he did do this 4 years ago, and Chris Christie, who was then an ally of his before the 2020 presidential debate, stood in as Joe Biden. But we're told that is not happening this go around. Instead, his campaign advisors tell us that he is going on the campaign trail and doing fundraisers and talking to right-wing press as a means of debate prep. And so we saw him there in Philadelphia. He had a fundraiser in Cleveland, Ohio the other night as well. And so it is not clear exactly over the days ahead what his plans will look like and whether, you know, privately and behind the scenes that'll be a little bit more formal. But at least his campaign is telling the public at large through the press that they are making a little bit more informal preps and not doing it like Joe Biden is doing it this time around. Steve?
I guess not really much of a surprise there. It was surprising to hear about Christie being such an ally just 4 years ago. Wow, so much changes so fast. Yes. Vaughn Hilliard, Ali Rafa, thanks so much. All right, we'll have much more on the first presidential debate hosted by CNN throughout the week. Join NBC News for special coverage of it. It gets underway Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, with the debate getting underway at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. You can watch the debate on NBC News Now and on NBC. Well, we might be learning much more than just policy positions of both President Trump and former President Trump and President Biden ahead of their debate on Thursday. Trump has announced, as we heard, that he knows who his vice president pick will be, though he's not yet sharing that, and just yet anyway. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander sat down with Republican South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to discuss who could be the best person for that job.
This week on Meet the Press, I spoke with Republican Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota about what Mr. Trump should look for in a vice president and whether his running mate should be a woman. Let me ask you about some of our reporting that shows there are 3 names now on Donald Trump's shortlist to serve as his vice presidential pick. Yours is not one of them right now. Are you being vetted? Have you received the paperwork?
The only person who knows who the vice president's going to be is Donald Trump.
Have you received the paperwork, though?
No, I haven't received any paperwork. No, I haven't. I've had conversations with the president, and I know that he is the only one who will be making the decisions on who will be his vice president.
You said that having a woman on the ticket would help Donald Trump win, and he said on this program last year that he liked the concept of running with a woman. Only men, as you note, are on his short list right now: Burgum, Vance, Rubio. Would Donald Trump be making a mistake if he does not pick a woman as his running mate?
I think he needs to pick the best person for the job. He needs to help someone, pick someone that will help him win. And I think that President Trump is in a fantastic position to win this election. He's strong. He's right on all the policies. He needs to pick somebody who will help him win and make sure that he's back in the White House fighting for America.
And you can see my full interview and a lot more at meetthepress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
Interesting stuff, Peter. Thanks. And turning now to Russia, where officials are investigating a mass shooting carried out in 2 places of worship in 2 different cities Sunday night. At least 15 police officers, an Orthodox priest, and 4 civilians were killed in what is now being called a coordinated attack. While no group has claimed responsibility, Russian law enforcement officials say they believe the gunman showed signs of being part of an international terrorist organization. The southern region of Russia where the shooting took place is known for militant violence, which has been worsening in part because of the war in Ukraine. And now to the war in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the intense phase of fighting against Hamas in Rafah is nearing an end. Netanyahu made the announcement as part of his first televised interview with Israeli media since the war started on October 7th. He went on to warn that though this phase is winding down, the war against Hamas will continue. Now, this comes as Netanyahu once again doubled down on his accusations that the U.S. is withholding weapon shipments. The U.S. denying those accusations last week. The growing tension between the 2 allies is now the backdrop of Netanyahu's highly anticipated address to Congress, which is coming up next month. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley is in Tel Aviv with the latest on this. Matt, good morning to you. So let's start with that Netanyahu interview. The prime minister said he's only ready to make a partial deal with Hamas to bring some of those hostages home. How is that being received by the families of those hostages, and where does that leave the ceasefire talks?
Yeah, good morning, Stephen. So the situation, as we're hearing from Benjamin Netanyahu, he will make these kinds of announcements that he's willing to make a deal, but a partial deal. And he's still hewing to the same principles, the same platform that he has from the beginning, which is that there will be no deal unless it allows for the total destruction of Hamas. Now, that's not the kind of thing that Hamas is going to sign up for, obviously. That would mean their destruction. And Hamas has always been saying that they also have their own maximalist position, which is that they want to see Israel's offensive in the Gaza Strip stop for good, and the Israeli military to withdraw completely. So while we are seeing some little bit of daylight when it comes to comments like this, it really doesn't mean much. It really is just a return to the previous positions that we've been hearing about for months. Now, Netanyahu's comments were slammed by Hamas, as they have in the past, but also we heard from the families, the forum of families who represent those families, who have members who are still hostages in the Gaza Strip. There's thought to be somewhere between 50 and 80 people who are still alive in Gaza. They slammed Netanyahu's comments and said that he needs to make a deal. Stephen?
Well, all this comes, Matt, as Israel's Minister of Defense arrived in Washington, going to meet with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Secretary of State Blinken coming up on Sunday. What do we expect to see from these meetings? What is the goal here?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that we're talking about is, of course, those hostage negotiations, and this has been going on for months. But there's the specter of another threat that has been raised in the background that has always been there and hasn't made the same kind of headlines as the fighting in the Gaza Strip. And that is the conflict on Israel's northern border with Lebanon. The fighting between the Israeli military and Hezbollah, which, like Hamas, is another Iran-backed group. They have been pelting northern Israel with really sophisticated weapons, rockets, some of them targeted, some of them really showing a level of sophistication. And this whole militia group has a level of organization that really puts Hamas to shame, which is why we hear from the United States and from other observers saying that if there were to be a full-on war that would break out between the Israelis and Hezbollah, it would be much more dangerous. Hezbollah is much more powerful than even Hamas. And that is something you're going to be hearing about when it comes to Yoav Gallant's meetings. When we heard about Benjamin Netanyahu's friction with the Biden administration, a lot of that has to do with very heavy weaponry. There was one consignment of weapons that was indeed held up, and that the White House admitted that it had held up because of worries that it could be used in densely populated areas in Rafah in the Gaza Strip. But those heavy weapons are going to be crucial if Israel decides to launch an incursion, or if Hezbollah decides to launch an incursion into Israel and it breaks out into a full-on, potentially region-wide war. Stephen?
Worrisome to hear, to say the least. All right, Matt Bradley, thank you. All right, much more to come here this morning on Morning News Now. Later in the hour, Olympic dreams. Now one race closer to reality for some of America's top athletes. We'll take you to the track for the impressive showing at the Olympic trials. Up first, after the break, a silent struggle. The new warnings from the CDC over a startling spike in suicides among construction workers. Stay with us. Welcome back. A community in Arkansas is coming together following yet another mass shooting in the United States. Hundreds of people gathered last night at the Mad Butcher grocery store for a candlelight vigil, all to honor the victims of Friday's shooting. A gunman started shooting inside a store, killing 4 people and injuring 10 others. Some of the survivors remain in extremely critical condition, according to Arkansas State Police. The alleged shooter, 44-year-old Travis Eugene Posey, was treated in custody for non-life-threatening injuries after exchanging gunfire with police officers. Posey has been charged with multiple counts of capital murder. All right, now to an alarming trend on the rise in the construction industry. New research showing that construction workers are dying by suicide at an alarming rate. While demand for construction workers continues to surge, the profession has one of the highest suicide rates. That's according to data from the CDC. In 2022, an estimated 6,000 construction workers died by suicide, an increase from the year before. Joining us now with more on this is NBC News senior policy reporter Shannon Pettypiece. Shannon, thanks for being here. So very troubling stuff here. Are there any indications about what's behind this, why this could be happening?
When I spoke to people in the industry, they said there's a number of factors. Construction is inherently a difficult job. It is physically difficult, the wear and tear on people's bodies, as well as injuries, working long extended periods outside in the sun. There's a lot of physical injuries, which can lead to things like, opioid prescriptions that can turn into addictions or other forms of self-medication. And then they said there's also just this culture of macho-ness among a lot of construction workers, of not asking for help, of feeling like you should be able to handle your problems, you should keep those at homes, not wanting to share how they're feeling, not wanting to seek out and get help. And folks in the industry said that all those things combined can just lead to a really toxic mix that can lead people to taking their own life at a rate that is 75% higher among men in construction industry than it is for men in the general population, who already have a higher rate of suicide than women in the general population.
Wow, some startling numbers there for sure. And we're seeing these come as there is a boom in the construction industry and the shortage of workers that's also going on at the same time. How does that possibly factor into how they're feeling on the job?
Well, people in the industry said they're really concerned about the pressures that are on workers right now. There has been billions in federal dollars for infrastructure projects, new electric vehicle manufacturing plants, these semiconductor chip plants. These are huge, large-scale projects, and the industry estimates they're about 500,000 workers short of where they need to be to meet their hiring goals. So that means added pressure on the current workforce. It means longer hours. It means people working double shifts, not taking any days off, and not only for weeks at a time, but months at a time or even years at a time. And that puts pressures on individuals emotionally, physically, and it's also causing a lot of them to have to travel for work, to be away from home and their family and their support networks, sometimes for over a year. And so it really has industry officials concerned that on top of all these other factors we talked about a moment ago, those are only being amplified and magnified by this demand on the workforce.
Wow, so many factors there, Shannon. So what steps are being taken within the industry to try to help this problem?
Well, there's been a lot of efforts over the past few years to raise awareness. One is getting workers to be aware that they are at an increased risk of suicide and that it is okay to seek help. They really have been trying to emphasize the 988 suicide crisis lifeline that people can call, putting this 988 number on stickers on work sites, posters, hard hats, getting awareness out there that there is someone you can call and reach out to for help if you find yourself in a crisis, but then trying to be more proactive, trying to have workplace talks, just the way they talk about physical safety on the job site, talking about mental health safety. Employers are putting in assistance programs that workers can use mental health services to hopefully start to get ahead of this problem before people reach this crisis point.
We certainly hope that they do get the help they need beforehand. Shannon Pettypiece, eye-opening stuff here. Thank you so much. And as Shannon just mentioned, you or anyone you know, if you're struggling, you can call or text the Suicide Crisis Lifeline at 988. All right, and now to an update on the Oklahoma man jailed in Turks and Caicos for more than 2 months. He's now back with his family. That's after officials say he accidentally brought ammunition to the island. He's one of 5 Americans recently arrested for carrying small amounts of ammunition there. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin has more.
This was the moment. 70 days of anxiety quickly melted away. Ryan Watson reunited with his family in Oklahoma, captured by NBC affiliate KFOR.
I stuck a family photo in the lining of a Bible when I was in jail, and I prayed about this, and to see that this has been answered, I'm so grateful.
Watson was released from Turks and Caicos after being held on charges of bringing ammunition to the popular beach destination, punishable by up to 12 years in prison. Hours earlier, Watson learned his fate at this Turks and Caicos courthouse.
So happy that the judge took a holistic approach.
But before boarding the plane back home, he wanted to dress the part.
So much better.
Recently, a total of 5 Americans have been arrested after small amounts of ammo were found in their bags. Watson is now the 4th back in the U.S., receiving a $2,000 fine, $500 for each hunting round he says he accidentally brought to the island back in April. Sharita Greer is the last American still on the island. She hugged Watson goodbye after a months-long bond over their vacation misfortune.
We still got to get Sharita home. She's my adopted sister now. I won't be able to rest completely until she's home.
Turks and Caicos, which depends on tourism for 95% of its economy, just amended a law requiring a mandatory 12-year minimum sentence for firearm offenses after a U.S. congressional delegation last month visited island officials calling for leniency.
It was a huge weight that was lifted.
This latest release giving new hope to the last American stuck in paradise limbo. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Dana, thanks. And coming up, a warning for beachgoers after nearly a dozen drowning deaths in just the past couple of weeks. When we come back, what you need to know about rip currents and the best way to stay safe in the water. You're watching Morning News Now. We're back now with a new warning from officials for beachgoers to beware of rip currents. As of June 9th, the National Weather Service says at least 11 people have died after getting caught in these strong underwater currents. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra has the latest and what you need to know to stay safe.
Oh, God. Get my first strike!
A heartbreaking start to summer in New York. At Jacob Riis Beach in Queens, search and rescue from land, air, and sea, looking for 2 missing teenagers swept away by dangerous waters and never resurfacing.
This is a tragedy. This is another parent's worst nightmare. We think that it might be a riptide, but that's still under investigation.
Rough surf posing challenges for even the most experienced rescuers.
The currents are extremely rough. The divers had to come out of the water because the current was extremely dangerous. It was too rough for them.
Florida has already seen 2 deadly swimming incidents within 2 days. Tragedy striking in Panama City Beach. Police say 3 tourists were swept away in a rip current, launching an all-out search and rescue mission for Harold Hunter, Jamonda Ray, and Marius Richardson. None of them survived. This after a rip current took the lives of a mother and a father of 6 across the same state in Stewart Beach.
The kids, one or both, got caught in the riptide, and Brian and or Erica went after, and then the other one, they both went after, and they got the kids out, and they got caught.
Family of Brian Warder and girlfriend Erica Wishart say they were athletic and strong, but no match for the dangerous waters.
Anything were to come of this, it was that people are aware of how dangerous rip currents can be.
Rip currents are a powerful channel of water formed when waves break near the shoreline, and they're often hard to see from the ground. But signs like a line of white foam or a narrow passage of darker water in the ocean can be clues of a rip current that could save lives of even the strongest of swimmers.
And our thanks to Marissa Parra for that reporting. And here with some tips to help keep you safe in the ocean this summer is Clary Collins. She's the Curriculum Development Director for Goldfish Swim School. So, Clary, thanks for joining us. As we just heard from Marissa this morning, we got a brief explanation of what a rip current is, but we've also been hearing about rip tides. So what's the difference there, and what do swimmers need to know?
Right. There's often a misconception between the two. Rip currents are a fast-moving flow of water that start from the shore and move their way back out into the sea, where a rip tide is more about the strength of the water, usually caused by the tides and what's happening underneath the surface of the water, so the underwater geography.
Interesting. What do people need to be looking for to try to spot the rip currents?
So that's a tricky one, because for the average beach goer, we might not notice or recognize what a rip current looks like, but there are clues that we can look at to indicate that there may be troubling waters or hazardous waters. So, for example, does the water look darker in a particular area? That might indicate there's trouble. If we see churning waters or choppy waters, sometimes if you watch the pattern of the waves and we notice that there's a break in that pattern, that could also indicate that there's trouble as well. And lastly, if you notice any seaweed, foam, debris that's moving gradually out to the sea, that might also be another indication.
Very helpful tips there. So what's the easiest way for people to avoid rip currents? So many people headed out to the beach. It's scary to hear all of this. What's the way to just get away from them altogether?
Absolutely. So number one, you need to be proactive, and that the best thing that you can do is educate yourself and your family members. Starting swim lessons at a young age is really important to water safety and drowning prevention. But when you head to the beach, the first thing that you should do is take 5 to 10 minutes to review the rules with your loved ones. Look at your surroundings, look at the conditions, identify where a lifeguard or lifeguards may be on duty. Many times beaches use a flag system to indicate if the beach has hazardous conditions. So checking to make sure that it's even open. Always wearing a Coast Guard approved life jacket is key as well. And we always want to buddy up. We never want to swim alone. It's always best to swim in pairs.
It certainly is, and that's a great way to avoid them. But if the worst case happens and someone finds themselves maybe caught in one of these currents, what should they do? What steps should they take?
So I think what typically happens is we panic and we think we should swim into the current. So we actually want to go with the flow of the rip current and let it take us. If we can't swim to the left or the right of the rip current, then try to put your hand up to indicate or call for safety, but let the rip current take you back out to sea, save and conserve your energy so you can make it back to the shore safely.
So important to hear, because that's counterintuitive when you're actually in that situation. Very important information. Clary Collins, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, coming up, California's largest school district pushing to make the classroom a no-phone zone. When we come back, more on that plan that some say could be the standard nationwide. And a Game 7 showdown on the ice tonight. We'll get you up to speed ahead of tonight's winner-take-all NHL championship game. This is Morning News Now. We're back now with a look at the latest push to curb classroom distractions and protect students' mental health. In California, the state's largest school district is now one step closer to banning students' use of cell phones during classes. That's after passing a proposal last week that would prohibit their use during the school day at all. As NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin explains, it's a move we could soon see adopted in areas across the country.
Back Back then, bulky brick cell phones were a rarity for teens.
Zach can't come to the phone right now. He's on his way to pick up his season tickets to detention.
Flash forward several decades, and smartphones are considered a rite of passage, and for many students, addictive.
You want to keep scrolling and scrolling. I'm on my phone about 10 hours a day.
Everything's on the phone. Nobody really speaks face to face with people anymore.
School used to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic, but with new technology comes powerful new distractions.
Ms. Gomez.
Yeah. The Los Angeles Unified School District approved an in-school ban on phones and social media to try to tackle the issue.
Yes. Passes.
Experts have warned about the impacts of social media on mental health. According to the resolution, excessive cell phone use can increase anxiety and depression among students, stifle meaningful in-person interaction, and enable cyberbullying.
They'll be more present, not only with their teachers, but with one another as well.
Surgeon General Vivek Murthy appeared on Today, calling for a warning label to be added to social media sites similar to the warnings found on cigarettes and alcohol, telling Savannah and Hoda,
now, a warning label would help parents to understand these risks.
Last year, Murthy warned that social media use is a main contributor to teen depression, anxiety, and other problems. The report found up to 95% of teens between the age of 13 and 17 say they use a social media platform, with a third saying they're engaged almost constantly.
What other dangers do kids face when they're scrolling and using these apps, especially in school?
It's really not the number of hours that you're on the screen, it's where you go. The auto plays and the infinite scrolling, it's a distraction from the classroom. It's a distraction away from the teachers. It takes away their focus.
Across the country, 77% of schools prohibit cell phones at school for non-academic use. Last year, Florida became the first state to make public schools phone-free. Now, at least half a dozen other states are pushing similar legislation.
You socialize more, hung out with friends. I don't see that often anymore.
Most parents can agree they don't want their kids distracted in school, but many are worried about potential emergencies.
I think it's important for them to have a cell phone, especially these days now. You don't know what's going on.
What's happening in LA and Florida could inspire phone-free school zones across the nation, but experts warn it's not that simple.
It's easy to say no phones in schools, but how are you going to implement that? And that's why educating parents on how you talk to your young people about it, what parameters to put in place, all of that is key.
Our thanks to Dana Griffin for that report. According to the proposal, the school board is aiming to have this new cell phone policy in place by January 2025. All right, turning now to our CNBC Money Minute, and European Union regulators say Apple is in breach of new tech rules. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and more. Good morning, Silvana.
Hey, Stephen, good Monday morning to you. That's right. So European regulators are accusing Apple of violating the bloc's new tech rules. Now, they allege the company has breached the Digital Markets Act because it doesn't allow customers to be steered from the App Store to other and cheaper options. Now, today's action follows a probe regulators opened earlier this year. The EU hit Apple with a nearly $2 billion fine in March for abusing its monopoly in the market for distributing music streaming apps. CDK Global has started restoring systems used by more than 15,000 car dealers and retailers across North America. The company says the process is expected to take several days. CDK briefly shut down its systems last week after saying it was investigating a cybersecurity incident. Bloomberg has previously reported a group of hackers that's claimed responsibility has demanded millions of dollars in ransom. And it was another emotional weekend for Inside Out 2, the Disney and Pixar movie collecting another $100 million, according to ComScore. That's a record for an animated movie in its follow-up weekend. The previous best was $92 million for the Super Mario Brothers movie last year. Inside Out 2 is now the highest-grossing movie of the year with $724 million worldwide, passing Dune Part 2, Stephen.
Wow, very nice. Yeah. I saw it with my nephews. They loved it. There were tears shed. I won't say by who.
Oh, I'm waiting for my nephew to come back from vacation so I can take him.
There you go. It's a great one. Silvana, thanks so much.
You got it.
All right, now to the NHL Championship Series. The Edmonton Oilers are looking to complete one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history tonight in Game 7 against the Florida Panthers. The Oilers have stunned the hockey world by storming back to tie the series after falling into a 3-0 deficit, just one game shy from an elimination sweep. The puck will drop in South Florida for a winner-take-all game to determine who will lift that coveted Stanley Cup. Senior writer at The Athletic, Ian Mendes, joins us now with more on this thrilling Stanley Cup series. Good morning to you, Ian. So only one team in NHL history has ever overcome a 3-0 deficit to win a championship. That was 82 years ago when the Toronto Maple Leafs pulled it off. What went well for the Oilers to even get to this point in the series? How are things shaping up?
Yeah, Stephen, this is a remarkable turn of events because about 10 days ago, we thought the Florida Panthers were on the precipice of winning the Stanley Cup. They're up 3-0. It was just we were waiting for a coronation. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Oilers won Game 4, and they did so in lopsided fashion. And I think that's how they were able to sort of seize momentum. They won that fourth game, Stephen, 8-1. And I think at that point, a lot of people said, we might have ourselves a series. And then they went down to Florida. They won Game 5. They won Game 6. And so here we go. It's a winner-take-all Game 7 in South Florida tonight. And you know, there's nothing better in sports. You know, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, these best of sevens, when you get to a seventh game, there's nothing better. And there's nothing better than a seventh game for the championship. So this has been a remarkable turn of events. The Oilers have somehow managed to just take it one game at a time, and here we are with them sitting on a chance for history tonight. As you said, it's been basically 8 decades since we've seen something like this happen in the NHL.
This is certainly a lot more fun than a blowout. So it is one thing to make a comeback after being down 3-0, but the Oilers have completely taken over this series, though, outscoring the Panthers by 18-5 since facing elimination. Is it looking like their momentum will carry them forward here?
Well, I mean, this is what's remarkable. It's not like the Oilers are just kind of squeaking out these wins like 2-1 or 3-2 or needing overtime. They're blowing them out. Like you said, 18-5 is a pretty lopsided margin of victory for them in these three games. The problem is now they haven't played since Saturday night, since Friday night in Edmonton. So I don't know if momentum necessarily travels and takes that 3,000-mile flight from Edmonton down to Florida, because there's been 48 hours since that last game. But what the Oilers have been able to do really well here is just make the Panthers feel nervous. And I think that's been the biggest difference here, is that when you watch the games, even if you're just watching body language, the Oilers look loose, they look relaxed, they look confident. The Panthers look like deer in headlights, and it's going to be really interesting to watch how it unfolds in Game 7 tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited for it now. Where do you think, though, if they do pull it off, where will this rank in terms of greatest comebacks in sports history?
Yeah, I think it's got to be up there, Stephen. I really do. And I think for a lot of viewers, you'll remember 20 years ago, the Boston Red Sox came back from a very similar 3-0 deficit against the New York Yankees in the American League Championship Series. That to me is kind of like the gold standard for comebacks in North American sports, just because there's a ton of history between the Yankees and the Red Sox, and the Red Sox hadn't won a World Series in so many years, and they came back from 3-0. And that, to me, if the Oilers are able to pull that off tonight, I think it kind of goes in the same spot as Red Sox Yankees from 2004. Certainly, I think there's an argument to be made it's the greatest comeback in hockey history, and then you could certainly put it on the same list as Red Sox Yankees in 2004.
Yeah, certainly up there. Only have a few seconds left, Ian, but want to ask you, who do you have lifting the Stanley Cup tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, Stephen, I'm going to call overtime. How about that?
Okay.
Like, imagine a Game 7 overtime. I think you got to go with the Oilers, don't you? So I'll take the Oilers tonight in overtime, but it should be a lot of fun down in Sunrise, Florida. Yeah, it certainly seems like it. All right, Ian Mendes, thanks so much for chatting with us about that today. Yeah, you got it. Have a great day. You too. Welcome back. Professional golfer Amy Yang won her first major on Sunday. After a couple of attempts, Yang was finally able to win the women's PGA title at the Sahali Country Club in Washington. She is the oldest major winner of the LPGA Tour since 2018. Yang stated that at one point she questioned whether she would ever win a major championship before her retirement. Yang's first 15 holes were flawless, and although she did run into some trouble near the end, she managed to get over that line and take home
$1.5 million. According to the South Korean golfer, it was the longest 18 holes she ever played in her career. Congratulations to her. Good Monday morning. I'm Stephen Romo, filling in for Joe and Savannah today. And right now on Morning News Now, summer sizzler. The nationwide heat wave showing no signs of cooling down as record-breaking temperatures on the East Coast leave millions sweltering. But it's a different kind of story in Iowa, where many people are being forced to evacuate from communities hit hard by severe flooding. We'll have the latest on the extreme weather gripping the country. Also this morning, with just 3 days to go until the first presidential debate of this year's election, we're looking at how both candidates are preparing for Thursday's showdown as the pre-debate war of words continues. And facing the music, Justin Timberlake returns to the stage for the first time since being arrested for allegedly driving while intoxicated. What the pop star had to say to fans about that incident. Plus, put your paws together for the world's ugliest dog. We're welcoming this year's winner, Wild Thing, on set for what should be one howl of a time. I feel so bad calling the ugliest dog. It's a cute dog there. But we do begin this hour with the heat wave, which is sizzling parts of the U.S. Tens of millions of people are under heat alerts, while 15 states are on track to set new records today. We'll have more on the forecast in just a moment. But first, let's go to NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin live in a steamy New York City this morning. Aaron, good morning.
For millions from coast to coast, this summer is off to a ferocious start.
It's been hot this whole week.
A relentless heat wave smashing records in the Northeast. In Philadelphia, Sunday's high of 98 degrees beat the daily record set over 135 years ago. While Washington, D.C. hit 100 degrees in June for the first time in over a decade. Other communities facing severe flooding, including Rock Valley, Iowa, where recovery efforts are ongoing after the town was submerged in floodwaters when a levee broke, forcing some residents to evacuate.
The river rose to historic levels. It's a monumental undertaking.
Iowa's governor declaring a disaster for 21 counties. In Tucson, the fire department said a woman died in an intense monsoon rainstorm, and another person died in flooding in South Dakota, where 4 rivers broke record levels. New York bracing for intense storms after a scorching hot weekend. Lifeguards at New York's Jones Beach sweating it out.
I mean, this just keeps getting worse. Like every summer, it feels like it's turning, the temperature goes up. Be worried about that.
When I first started working here, it was definitely a lot cooler. It only started getting really hot towards like late July, but this year it started getting hot really early.
Scientists say there is a clear link between intense heat and human-caused climate change, meaning this extreme weather is unlikely to go anywhere anytime soon. Stephen?
All right, good to know. Aaron, thank you so much. Well, let's get a look at what we can expect for the week ahead. For your Morning News Now forecast, meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Stephen, great to see you. And we can expect more heat, even some summer storms, too. But you saw Aaron's shot right where you saw the breeze, and that's some cooler air coming in from the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast. So that's good news. Also, humidity levels are dropping. Those winds are bringing in that drier air. But unfortunately, the summer heat does continue in the plains, into the south central states, the southeast. And we're looking at temperatures near 100 degrees in a lot of spots. If you're not in the triple digits, you factor in the humidity, you're going to feel like you are. And then we're also looking at the chance for severe storms, mainly in portions of the upper Midwest. That's going to move off to the Midwest and the Great Lakes tomorrow. Notice the green, too, in New England, also upstate New York. Could see some showers and storms there. An area of low pressure is kind of spinning there. And then along the Carolinas into the southeast, could see some showers, too, even some thunderstorms, especially in parts of southern Florida. More rain for the Four Corners. We're talking monsoonal rain, so it could be heavy at times. And then we are hot and dry along the west coast, and we're looking at temperatures soaring there as well. The Pacific Northwest looking really nice today. By Wednesday, we're going to see the heat returning into portions of the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, back into the 90s. We're going to feel warmer than that. But notice the rain, too, from New England into the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, the Mississippi Valley into the Southeast. So a lot of the East on Wednesday will be wet with showers and thunderstorms. Monsoonal rain does continue for portions of the southwest into the Four Corners, sunny hot in the Intermountain West. And we're going to dry it out in the northern plains, and temperatures will be nice for this time of year in the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes. By Friday, a chance of storms do return to the Midwest, the upper Midwest, where you see the green there, and that thunderstorm. Southern warm throughout the south central states into the southeast. Could see some more rain in the Carolinas also. Portions of Florida with some showers and thunderstorms there. And then we're looking at low humidity once again in New England. Temperatures in the 70s, even low 80s. That's going to extend into portions of the Northeast. The Mid-Atlantic, you're going to be a little bit warmer there. And the Intermountain West looking really good as well. So let's talk about that heat, because still 48 million Americans under heat alerts at this hour. We're looking at some heat alerts, some heat watches, some heat warnings. And again, we're going to see those temperatures soaring into the upper 90s, if not the triple digits in some spots. And this extends all the way from the Southwest and Las Vegas. 110 today. The record is 113. So we could see some records falling in 17 states. We'll watch that for you as we go throughout this Monday. Scottsbluff, we're looking at 102. Omaha, 100 degrees. 102 in Wichita. And then temperatures in the upper 90s in Atlanta. Memphis, notice you could see the record breaking there, 100 degrees and 97 in Baton Rouge. You factor the humidity there, it will feel like over 100 degrees. Then tomorrow, the high pressure and the heat's going to stay put. We're looking at temperatures into Salt Lake City, 100 degrees. The record there is 102. Memphis, 99. Into the 90s in Atlanta and also Jacksonville. Unfortunately, we're going to keep that heat in the south. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Dallas, you have triple digits, 100 degrees Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, feeling warmer with the humidity kind of tapped in there. Atlanta, 99 degrees on Wednesday, into the upper 90s Thursday and Friday in New York City Wednesday. That's where the heat returns, but we're right back to the 80s by Thursday, and then just typical summer heat on Friday, 82 degrees. This is what satellite radar looks like right now. Not a whole lot going on, but notice the northern plains. We're looking at some lightning there. We're going to start to see this ramp up later on this afternoon into the overnight hours. We could see some pretty gusty storms moving in, with winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour. Could see a cluster of storms with significant wind moving from Minnesota, Wisconsin. So we'll watch that closely for you. Also could see some large hail, softball size hail there. Monsoonal rain, we'll watch that throughout the portions of the Four Corners. And then also that rain that I talked about in parts of New England into upstate New York. Today, 21 million people at risk for severe storms. I mentioned that really large hail, winds gusting up to 75 miles per hour. Can't rule out the chance of a few tornadoes as well. International Falls, Fargo, Minneapolis, Sioux Falls, Waterloo, over to Green Bay, where you see that yellow shading. That is the best chance, especially from Minnesota, Wisconsin. Models are indicating that we could see that cluster of storms moving through later on today. Softball size hail possible. That causes damage all on its own, and also could see some flooding rains because we have a lot of humidity in the air. So any of these tropical downpours or these downpours could create some flooding conditions. That will be the same threat for tomorrow. 20 million people at risk. Notice that it moves a little bit further to the east. So now the Midwest into parts of the Great Lakes, Chicago, Peoria, Kirksville could see some winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Not quite as strong as today. Damaging hail, not quite as big as today, which is good news, but we are concerned about flooding tomorrow. And this is why we're looking at that heaviest rain throughout Chicago into Kansas City, where you see those darker colors. Parts of the Great Lakes in the Midwest could see some really heavy rainfall tomorrow. This is why we have a cold front that's moving through, a frontal system that's going to spark the chance for those showers and storms, especially across the northern plains. And those storms, once we get that daytime heating going, kind of gives the oomph to those storms later on tonight. And then by tomorrow, Stephen, we are looking at those storms into the Midwest, and we are concerned about some flash flooding and also some damaging winds. Back to you.
This is not the summer forecast I was hoping for when I was wishing for it back in January.
I know.
Oh, all right. Michelle, thanks so much.
It came quickly.
It did. Wow, sure. It did. Well, to escape that brutal heat, many Americans are heading to the beach, but officials warn to be on alert when swimming in the ocean after multiple people have already died from dangerous rip currents and even a shark attack. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk is live at Jacob Riis Beach in Queens. Stephanie, good morning to you. How's it looking out there?
You know, Stephen, a lot of people in the summer is a time to enjoy the water, but it also could be a tragic reminder of just how dangerous the water is. On this beach today, we've been watching a couple of rip currents pulling the water out of the beach. This is where two teenagers went missing on Friday. The Coast Guard called off the search for them over the weekend, as we're getting terrible news out of Hawaii of a beloved surfer who was killed by a shark in Oahu. This morning, shock and sadness in Hawaii over the death of a well-known pro surfer and longtime lifeguard, 49-year-old Tamayo Perry, who officials say was killed Sunday in a shark attack. It happened while he was surfing off the north shore of Oahu.
It was one of our own city and county Honolulu lifeguards. Tamayo Perry was a lifeguard loved by all.
Perry was a champion surfer who also dabbled as a professional actor.
Get to work.
Appearing as an extra on the show Hawaii Five-0 and the film Pirates of the Caribbean. The shark attack comes just days after 2 teens vanished while swimming at this busy New York beach.
The wave was extremely high, and it went on top of them and sucked them over.
Officials say it happened just minutes after lifeguards went off duty.
We think that it might be a riptide, but that's still in the investigation.
One of the missing teens, now identified by his family as 16-year-old Elijah Chandler. His mother stayed at the beach Saturday before authorities called off the search.
I wish he could just come out the water. They could just come out the water.
It comes amid 2 similar incidents in Florida. In popular Panama City Beach, officials say 3 friends from Alabama drowned Friday after getting caught in a rip current. Deja Merchant says she watched her boyfriend Jamonde Ray and his 2 friends get swept away.
He's just a loving and kind person. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that I can't call him.
Just a day earlier in Stewart Beach, another deadly rip current took the lives of Brian Warder and his girlfriend Erica Wishard. Rip currents are narrow strips of water moving away from shore that can form when wind blows towards the beach. Moving at speeds of more than 5 miles an hour, they can become impossible to outswim.
Stephen, it is almost impossible to outswim a rip current, and we give this advice every year. If you feel yourself being pulled out to sea, don't fight it. Try to swim parallel to the beach, and then when you're no longer being pulled out, try then to get into shore. Also, make sure you're swimming someplace where a lifeguard can see you, Stephen.
Important information. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much. And turning now to the race for the White House and the highly anticipated first presidential debate between President Biden and former President Trump. They are going head-to-head on Thursday night in Atlanta. Both campaigns have spent the last several days gearing up for the 90-minute debate, with both sides agreeing to new rules, which include no audience and no use of notes. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins us now from Washington with the latest. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. This is a high-stakes face-off coming in the peak of the heat of summer, and it's far earlier in the presidential calendar than we've seen for generations of past debates. Now, preparing themselves differently, President Biden is working with his closest aides in formal rehearsals, while Mr. Trump said his campaign appearances, courting evangelicals this weekend and base voters, that's what's getting him ready.
Debate week is here.
Will anybody be watching the debate on Thursday night?
President Biden in extended prep sessions at Camp David.
Mr. President, how is debate prep going?
This much-anticipated presidential showdown could be a pivotal event that shakes up a consistently tight race. The Biden campaign out with a new memo predicting 2 distinct visions for the future on stage in Atlanta, announcing 300 debate night watch parties and 1,600 volunteer events across battleground states, defining the choice and their opponent.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon, and the American people have to sit in that for a second. The person who wants to be president has to go sit with his probation officer before he actually goes to the debate. And so it is just a fact.
Former President Trump teasing that he has already made the big choice on a running mate.
Have you decided who your vice president is? Pick Tulsi!
In my mind, yeah.
Do they know?
No, nobody knows.
North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is on the VP shortlist.
He's got a lot of great choices, and I think everybody, the whole country maybe knows my background, which is both success in business and success as in the executive branch as governing.
Today is the 2nd anniversary of the Dobbs decision that ended a national right to abortion. The First Lady campaigned Sunday arguing that reproductive rights will be decisive.
Women put Joe Biden in the White House, and women are going to keep him there.
And the Biden campaign is seizing on that 2-year anniversary. The president is out with a new ad and statement saying that Donald Trump is solely responsible for the overturning of Roe. And his campaign says that remains a potent issue for independent and women voters. While this weekend, Mr. Trump took credit for moving abortion rights back to the states to decide, as he urged Christians to vote in greater numbers. Stephen?
A lot to watch coming up on Thursday. Kelly, thank you so much. And we'll have much more on the first presidential debate hosted by CNN throughout the week. Join NBC News for a special coverage of the debate, which gets underway Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, with the debate beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific time. You can watch that on NBC News Now and on NBC. Well, as we just heard, today marks 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, setting into motion a series of major legal battles over reproductive rights in America. 21 states have now either restricted or banned abortion procedures since the ruling was overturned. Many people have spoken out about the difficulties they face since those laws were put into place, from not receiving care in the emergency room to life-threatening journeys across state lines for a procedure. Vice President Kamala Harris sat down for an interview on Morning Joe, a warning of that fight ahead.
Madam Vice President, 2 years to the day that Roe was overturned. What's at stake in this election?
Everything is at stake. And fundamentally, on this issue, it's about freedom. And every person of whatever gender should understand that if such a fundamental freedom, such as the right to make decisions about your own body, can be taken, be aware of what other freedoms may be at stake.
Well, the vice president is expected to appear at 2 events today as part of President Biden's campaign to mark the 2-year point since the court's ruling. Mr. Biden has used reproductive rights to rally voters and try to get them to the polls come November. All right, turning to Arkansas, where state police have announced that a 4th victim of a grocery store shooting has now died. The 81-year-old woman passed away Saturday night following a shooting at the Mad Butcher grocery store in a town 70 miles south of Little Rock. The suspect is in custody. However, 13 people were struck in that shooting spree. That includes 2 law enforcement officers, according to state police. None of the 4 deceased victims are officers. Joining us now for more on this is NBC News correspondent Priya Sridhar. Priya, good morning to you. So what are the latest details that we're hearing from law enforcement, and what do we know about these other victims?
Good morning, Stephen. Yeah, as you mentioned, 81-year-old Ellen Shroom is the latest victim to die as of Saturday night in the Dallas County Medical Center as she was fighting for her life. But 3 other victims passed away on Friday when the shooting happened. 23-year-old Callie Weems, who was a nurse, and her mother told us, I was in Arkansas over the weekend and got an opportunity to speak with her mother, Helen Browning, that she was off from her job as a nurse that day when she went grocery shopping. She leaves behind a 10-month-old baby daughter. In addition to that, 50-year-old Roy Sturgis also passed away on Friday. He is described as a devoted dad to his daughter, Hannah. And then also 62-year-old Shirley Taylor. I got an opportunity to speak with her daughter, Angela Ashley, and she said that her mom was a homebody. She liked to crochet, garden, and cook. Let's take a listen to what their family members had to say about their loved ones.
She was the most hardworking woman I've ever known in my life. She always put her family first.
Most beautiful smile, a laughter that just filled the room full of joy. Sweetest girl.
To know her was to love her.
Absolutely heartbreaking. And, you know, this is such a small town, only 4,000 people. Most of the people I spoke to know someone who was inside of that grocery store. So this is a tragedy that's hitting basically everyone who lived there, Stephen.
So awful, heartbroken for that whole community. Priya, also oddly, this is the 3rd mass shooting at a U.S. grocery store in just 3 years. So I know you also mentioned the injuries for other victims there. What do we know about them, including those police officers who were also injured?
That's right. So 14 people total were shot, including the suspect, who has since been released from the Dallas County Medical Center and is currently in custody in the local jail. He's expected to make his first court appearance today. There were also 2 law enforcement officers who were shot. It was non-life-threatening injuries. They have also been released from the Dallas County Medical Center. And then 11 civilians, 4 of them died, as I mentioned. Of the remaining 7, as of yesterday afternoon, 4 of them were still in the hospital. 5 women were shot and 2 men. They range in ages from 20 to 65 years old. The Arkansas State Police did tell us that 1 woman is still in critical condition and fighting for her life. So as you can imagine, Stephen, everyone in the community of Fordyce and across Arkansas is just praying that they make a recovery.
Oh, certainly praying that as well. And we don't have a lot of time here left, but I wanted to ask about this suspect, the 44-year-old Travis Eugene Posey. Have police said anything about a motive yet?
Yeah, so law enforcement officers who were briefed on this shooting say that there are no indications that his motive had anything to do with any sort of extremism or hate crimes. We don't know that he has had any sort of criminal record. So the motive is something that's still under investigation by the Arkansas State Police at this time, Stephen.
All right, Priya, thank you so much for that update. We appreciate it. And coming up, breaking his silence, Justin Timberlake is back on stage for the first time since that DWI charge. What he's telling fans about that incident, that's coming up next. Welcome back. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu facing mounting criticism for his stance on the war with Hamas. In an interview over the weekend with Israeli media, Netanyahu once again said he would be open to a partial ceasefire in exchange for some of the hostages being held by Hamas. But when asked if he would end the war, he refused. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
Good morning. We just heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last night. He said he's willing to make a partial deal with Hamas to free those remaining hostages, but he's sticking to his position that Hamas must be destroyed before the war ends.
Israel's prime minister doubling down on his criticism of the U.S. as the sparring match between Washington and Jerusalem enters its second week. There was a dramatic drop in the supply of armaments arriving from the U.S. to Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu said. American officials have spent the past week denying that the U.S. has slowed weapons deliveries to Israel.
We generally do not know what he's talking about.
But even as Netanyahu continued attacking his American allies, he said the fight against Israel's enemies in Gaza would start to slow. The intensive phase of the war against Hamas is about to end, he said. Netanyahu said that will allow his army to concentrate on the northern border, where Israel's fight against Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militia group, is heating up. Last week, Hezbollah's leader released ominous surveillance footage of major Israeli cities and military installations, boasting about the reach of his group's drones. We went to Kiryat Shmona, an Israeli city on Lebanon's border. It's been a ghost town since the fighting began last October.
In the nearly 9 months since this community was evacuated, feelings here have gone from fear to anger to calls for war. What came inside here? Right in through here.
Yeah. This city voted overwhelmingly for Netanyahu. Now they're furious with him.
Do you feel as though the government has abandoned the North?
Unfortunately, yes. Every day that passes and the situation stays the same, he told me, and they do nothing to bring us back to our homes. American diplomats worry that a major Israeli offensive against Hezbollah could spark a region-wide war. But many in this displaced community see more war as the only path to peace.
And this violence in the Middle East may be once again spilling over into American streets. There were clashes last night between pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian protesters in front of a synagogue in Los Angeles.
All right, Matt Bradley, thanks so much. Well, back here in the States, pop star Justin Timberlake is speaking out for the first time since being arrested for intoxicated driving last week. Timberlake addressed a sold-out Chicago crowd on Friday, thanking them for their support. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas has more.
We've been together through ups and downs and lefts and rights.
In his first concert since he was arrested and charged with driving while intoxicated, Justin Timberlake breaking his silence on stage in front of a crowd in Chicago.
It's been a tough week, but you're here, and I'm here, and nothing can change this moment right now.
During a roughly 2-minute talk in the middle of his set, the pop superstar speaking candidly.
I know sometimes I'm hard to love, but you keep on loving me, and I love you right back. Thank you so much.
I didn't expect him to say anything more than that.
Longtime fan Zach Moss was at the concert.
He literally was wiping away tears while he was saying it. So I think he just kind of caught himself off guard and said what he needed to say when he said it.
The 43-year-old multi-Grammy winner was arrested last week in Sag Harbor, New York. According to court documents, police pulled Timberlake over after he failed to stop at a stop sign and swerved in 2 different places. In surveillance video seen here, a vehicle appearing to match the description of the one Timberlake was driving that night was also captured in the same area. Sag Harbor PD have not responded to NBC News' request to confirm the vehicle in the video is Timberlake's. According to the complaint, Officer Michael Arkinson determined Timberlake was intoxicated on the scene. Timberlake told the police that he had 1 martini and followed his friends home. Arkinson, a 23-year-old on the force, now at the center of this high-profile arrest, was only just a year old at the time of NSYNC's iconic single, Bye Bye Bye. Now with Timberlake's world tour still in full force, the singer now facing the music ahead of his next court hearing.
And our thanks to Chloe Melas for that report. Timberlake's next stop is right here in New York City, headlining Madison Square Garden for 2 nights starting tomorrow. His next court date is scheduled for July. NBC News has reached out to the singer as well as Officer Michael Arkinson, but have not yet heard back. Well, coming up, chewing it over. Why a new social media trend for chewing so-called facial fitness gum to tone your jawline is leaving some parents and mental health experts concerned. We'll have more on that coming up next. We're back now with a new trend on TikTok that is targeting teenage boys. It's a special type of chewing gum that the makers claim will help get the, quote, perfect jawline. Some psychologists, though, are worried this hyper-focus on appearance could worsen an already dire youth mental health crisis. NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian spoke with one mom about her concern for her 12-year-old son.
You know how we do it. A new beauty trend taken off on TikTok, targeting boys who want their jawlines to appear more masculine.
Male model secret, you can actually grow your jaw. Here's how. Chewing super duper tough gum.
Paid ads for this harder to chew gum, part of a so-called looks maxing trend, encouraging young men to change their physical appearance to fit a certain beauty standard, promising to, quote, elevate your overall attractiveness or train at least 50 face and neck muscles to, quote, change your look in no time. It's concerning for parents.
He said, Mom, if I chew this gum, I'm going to get a really strong jawline. And I was like, okay, first of all, who's checking out your jawline? You're 12 years old.
And also for mental health experts.
We always focus on girls because we notice their mental health and the impact of all of these beauty trends on girls more easily, but it's not new for boys.
Let's check out this anti-aging kit.
The male beauty industry has taken off in recent years, valued at $55 billion in 2021 and projected to double that by 2030. And on TikTok, men's beauty content gets millions of views, with the hashtag men's grooming reaching nearly 50 million views. Experts say this could signal a shift in gender norms around self-care, but it's a slippery slope.
I think for some boys, there is this opportunity for it to build confidence because they start to step into who they might want to be and what that looks like. But it's when it breaks down the confidence and where the obsession takes over that we then have more problems.
Brands like Jawliner and Rockjaw that make this product say it's 2 to 15 times stronger than regular gum, suggesting that's what transforms the jawline. Experts question that.
That doesn't necessarily lead to a better, well-defined jaw, and it doesn't change the shape of the jaw.
And say they can even cause damage.
Typically, teeth that have large fillings in them will break. It's also hard on the joint, and when that is damaged and you're chewing a lot of gum, you're just going to make it worse.
This gum also more expensive than regular gum, about 60 cents more a piece. Rockjaw's founder telling NBC News he believes it's time for critics to accept this industry is here to stay. And, quote, on the fundamentals of equality, there are 2 options, either eradicate all unnatural procedures or to be inclusive of holistic practices. And that their customer base is mostly, in his words, corporate professionals, athletes, and CEOs of companies, not teenage boys. Jawliner saying their gum is not meant for everyday use and don't recommend it for people who have jaw issues.
I think our young men wants to have a sexy, nice jawline and wants to have I think a more masculine look in general.
And they also don't recommend it for another group.
I would not recommend to do this for people which are younger than 18 years, yes.
But concerns over how this impacts young men's idea of masculinity and their mental health are not going away for parents.
If I have a 12-year-old who feels like his jawline has to look a certain way, what is that ingraining in his psyche of what he should or shouldn't look like a couple of years from now?
Yasmin Vasugian, NBC News.
All right, and here to explain the science behind a product or a trend like this is NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Doctor, thanks for being with us this morning. So this gum promises to tone and tighten more than 57 facial and neck muscles, and that will allegedly create the, quote, perfect jawline. Is that even possible? What's actually happening when they chew this gum?
Yeah, Stephen, I wish there were some science behind it, but there is literally no science and no facts behind this. It is all, unfortunately, not just social media hype, but it's distorting people's minds, as you just heard Yasmin reporting. So what's really happening is that you're using your jaw muscles, the masseter muscles, to kind of chew and chew. Think about what you're doing when you're chewing any food. You're using muscles to chew, but that's not actually changing your jawline. Your jawline is determined by the actual skeletal kind of part of your jaw, which you can't alter. And all it's actually doing is creating hypertrophy. You can actually make those muscles bigger, and then it can actually distort the way your mouth looks. It can have the unintended consequence of not giving you a sleek jawline, but giving you these enlarged muscles and potentially exacerbating some health issues like headaches, kind of TMJ, if you've ever heard of that, and some joint pain as well.
Yeah, and it completely takes all the fun out of chewing gum.
Chewing gum, that's right.
Dr. Patel, though, this trend, it is actually concerning for so many parents because of the implications it could have on their children's mental health. There's a recent survey from Mental Health Foundation showing a quarter of boys say their body image causes them to worry often or always. So we often talk about the body image in terms of girls, but what could this mean? How could this trend impact boys moving forward?
Stephen, I'm living this. I have a 9-year-old boy, and I'm watching it kind of come out because you're right. We do emphasize, and it is absolutely true that the destruction on girls and boys is equal, not just social media, but kind of our body images and kind of the way we talk about body imaging with boys. And we don't do enough of it. We don't really talk about the fact that boys are having a lot of the same thoughts, like, how do I look? What are the perceptions? You just showed clips of Justin Timberlake when he was in his teen years. So much of those images shape not just what boys think, but young men. And then they grow up to also then, unfortunately, propagate this unintentionally. So this does exacerbate a lot of mental health issues. And it just reminds us, Stephen, that it starts at such a young age. Like, it starts literally once they start seeing images or even these ads, which are targeted to boys, because you just feel like, what's wrong with chewing gum? My kids chew gum. Oh, but if you chew this kind of gum, you'll look this way.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly a great point. You mentioned your 9-year-old, Dr. Patel. Quickly, I'm just curious, what advice do you have for parents who want to get ahead of this?
Listen, don't fight it. If you want to jump in like I did and say, no, that's all wrong, that's the wrong instinct. You have to hear them out. You have to actually get them to trust you, talk to you, and then educate them and just say, that actually won't change much. I know you like gum, and I know you kind of think this might change the way your face looks, or maybe someone was making fun of you because of the way your face looks. Let's talk about that. And then the final thing is to just model it, because I think they see us looking at things or looking at images, scrolling on phones and looking at certain things. And we have to stop and remind and say, I'm looking at this, but this is not reality. Like, what we have is reality. So I think that's the most important point, Stephen.
Some great advice there. All right, Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, coming up, going green in Paris. We'll take a look at how a French city is cutting its carbon footprint, the French city, cutting its carbon footprint as it prepares to host the Summer Olympics. That's coming up next. Welcome back. This morning, some auto dealerships are breathing a sigh of relief after a cyber attack. A retail technology provider saying it's now started to restore their systems. This announcement from the company CDK, which provides software to car dealerships, comes after they briefly shut down last week because of that cyber attack. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has the details.
If you're trying to buy or service a car, you might have to pump the brakes because of cyber attacks potentially slowing down business at thousands of car dealers.
Address, vehicle price, customer name, that kind of stuff, like titling information. Obviously, you got to make sure your date of birth, full name are correct.
At Zott Toyota in Waterford, Michigan, Eric Schlensky says normally software from CDK Global helps with that information.
It is what we run all the car deals out of, all the repair orders for service, all the parts orders.
In Austintown, Ohio, Justin Bradley says his team at Jim Shorkey Auto Group has been using a typewriter.
We are hand-doing contracts and hand-doing paperwork.
That means it's been taking longer for customers to buy a car. The challenge is arising after software provider CDK Global said it experienced 2 cyber incidents this week and proactively shut down most of our systems. The company adding, "We have begun the restoration process. We anticipate that the process will take several days to complete." CDK says it works with more than 15,000 retail locations in North America. It's not clear how many dealerships are impacted, but cybersecurity expert Katie Brooks says these challenges reach beyond the auto industry.
This incident is part of a growing trend of cyber attacks towards small and medium-sized businesses across the country. It is very much a crime of opportunity and a crime of financial gain. And so if there is money involved, there is the chance that this could happen.
Brooks says it's too soon to know the impact on things like personal data as the auto industry navigates a bumpy road. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
Now to what's making financial headlines, and the Justice Department considering bringing criminal charges against Boeing after an investigation. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and more. Good morning, Silvana.
Stephen, good morning to you. That's right. U.S. prosecutors are reportedly recommending the Justice Department bring criminal charges against Boeing after finding the company violated a settlement related to the fatal crashes of 2 737 MAX jets. Now, Reuters says the government must decide by July 7th whether to charge Boeing. Last month, officials determined the company breached an agreement from 2021 that shielded it from criminal prosecution in those crashes as long as it overhauled its compliance practices. Boeing has said it's honored the terms of the settlement. Meta Platforms has discussed combining its generative AI model with Apple's recently announced AI system for the iPhone, Apple Intelligence. The Wall Street Journal reports the potential deal comes as Apple plans to add technology from other AI companies to its devices, including long-term search partner Google and AI startup Anthropic. The talks have involved the AI companies selling premium subscriptions to their services through Apple. And an AI startup backed by NVIDIA wants to help you with your next big presentation. Synthesia showing off new tools today, including the ability to create avatars using just your phone or webcam and full body avatars with hands and arms. The company says the avatars can be used for a wide range of purposes, such as custom training videos for employees and generating promotional material. It says in the future it will be able to tailor AI avatars for different countries, Stephen.
Full body avatars.
Full body, arms and legs, the whole thing.
I'm going to pass for now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Silvana,
We'll see.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
All right, there is now just over 1 month to go until the opening ceremony kicks off this year's Olympic Games in Paris. And for many events, we'll watch the competition from venues which have been around for years or even over a century. It's a big part of how Paris was able to cut its carbon footprint compared to previous Olympics. NBC News national climate reporter Chase Kane joins me now with more on this and how Paris is sort of embracing the past to help the climate future. You were actually just there taking a look at it. What'd you learn?
Yeah, so when you look at the last couple of Summer Olympics in Tokyo and Rio, roughly half of their carbon emissions were from construction. So when Paris was trying to decide, hey, how are we going to cut our carbon footprint, they saw a real opportunity there, not just in limiting what they choose to build, but also the way that they build it.
Building any new stadium or arena comes at a cost to our planet.
So understanding like the long list of things, like the bill of materials of the games was key for us to, first of all, understand it and then challenge it.
The head of Paris 2024's sustainability explained how they combed through every detail, from the number of chairs needed to renting temporary bleachers for iconic locations like the Eiffel Tower. And most importantly, what they chose not to build.
Having a conception of which venue you will be use. Do you really need to build a new venue, or can you reuse another one?
Welcome inside one of only 2 new venues built for the Olympics. One of the things I noticed is that it's a minimal arena. There's not a lot of extra stuff in here. And one of the things fans will notice first are that these seats are made entirely of recycled plastic. The company who made the seats worked with 50 recyclers to gather 100 tons of plastic, which would have otherwise been incinerated, creating air pollution. Instead, all that plastic trash became 11,000 seats. The only other new construction was the Olympic Village, which becomes permanent housing for thousands after the games. It was built with less concrete, more wood, and rooftop solar to limit its carbon footprint. But it faced pushback from athletes for its exclusion of traditional air conditioning in favor of carbon-free geothermal cooling.
We have accepted to take the risk of innovating, of trying new things, showing that we made the math and this should work.
Another wave of backlash followed construction of an observation tower on top of a reef in Tahiti for Olympic surfing. But Paris officials say even that was strategic, hoping fans choose not to fly there, instead watching surfing on NBC. Out of all the existing venues, this one has the most history. Yves du Manoir Stadium was here a century ago for the 1924 Summer Olympics. It hosted the opening ceremonies, but this summer, it's going to host field hockey. As cities across France hope to show that what's best for our planet is what you already have. And that's part of the reason LA28 decided to embrace what they already have, building no new venues.
And LA28 also just updated their plans for their venues, Stephen. A couple of interesting things. The Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum is going to host track and field, which will make it the first and only venue to host Olympic track and field 3 times.
Wow.
Another interesting thing is the LA Rams Stadium in Inglewood. They're actually going to host swimming in there. So an NFL stadium hosting swimming, nearly 40,000 fans. It has that transparent roof with the sunlight coming in. Should be a pretty spectacular place to watch Olympic swimming.
Excellent, and everybody wins there.
Yeah.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks so much. All right, coming up, looking a bit rough. The world's ugliest dog joins us live on set, hot on the paws of his victory over the weekend. How Wild Thing hounded out the competition to win that coveted title. That's coming up next. We're back now with a new era in Taylor Swift's love story with Travis Kelce. The singer brought her boyfriend on stage for the first time last night at her Eras Tour concert in London, and Swifties, they swooned as Travis Kelce performed with Swift and her dancers for the intro to her song, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Videos posted on social media show Kelce carrying Swift to a couch, brushing her face with makeup, and showing off some dance moves even. All with a big smile on his face, of course. Last night's performance capped off a whirlwind weekend across the pond for the couple. Earlier this weekend, Swift posted a selfie with Kelce alongside some royal VIPs. Prince William, Prince George, and Princess Charlotte attended that Friday night show. Congratulations to them. Pretty cool. Well, there is officially a new title holder for the world's ugliest dog. The much-anticipated competition was held in California over the weekend, and this year, Wild Thing finally got his moment to shine. He was crowned the winning dog after entering the contest 5 times. His hair has never been brushed. Wow. And his tongue perpetually flops out there. So adorable. But this furry face is sure to make you swoon. We'll get to meet Wild Thing in just a moment. Very excited about that one. Also excited to talk to NBC News Now anchor Gotti Schwartz. You were one of the judges over the weekend. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, world's ugliest correspondent gets to judge the world's ugliest dog competition. Yeah, this competition is all about giving ugly dogs their moment to shine. And we got to be a judge again this year. And as we searched for the canine with the roughest mug in the country, there was one above all the rest.
When your furry friend is up for the title of the world's ugliest dog, there can be some mixed emotions. From excitement.
We think our dogs are the best in the world.
To acceptance.
What made you want to enter this year?
It's the public suggestion.
And maybe even a little denial.
I thought that she would be the most beautiful ugly dog.
But at this annual competition in Petaluma, California, The only offensive thing you could call these canines is cute. The scene may be unsightly to some, but for those here,
I don't think they're ugly. They're adorable.
it's the dog's inner beauty that shines through.
Ugly has 4 letters, but so does cute.
Still, in a contest where looks are everything, Twiggy, you are the belle of the ball. Some pups came dressed to impress, while others relied on their natural novelty.
This hair is to die for.
Thank you. It's natural.
But the talk of the town was a returning vet.
And I recognize this face. Where is that face? Right there.
This loose-tongued hairball is Wild Thing, an 8-year-old Pekingese who hoped after 5 tries he'd finally be named the ugliest.
He's always the bridesmaid.
But don't let the furry faces fool you. These contestants weren't shy about sniffing out the competition. Others just wanted to keep their eye on it, like Rome, who seemed to travel with an empire of fans.
And he loves all the attention.
It all came down to one final chance to put their most repugnant paw forward.
Look at that Beyonce hair. I mean, goodness.
Before my fellow judges and I tally the tail wags and we're ready to crown a winner.
The world's ugliest dog is Wild Thing!
Finally, giving this ugly dog his day.
All right, Stephen, without further ado.
I'm so excited.
Wild Thing! You make our hearts sing. This is the world's ugliest dog, and this is Wild Thing's human. This is Anne with us today, Anne Lewis.
Hello.
And, I mean,
yeah, wow,
what do you
Wild
think?
Thing. The tongue alone, it looks almost like a wig that Wild Thing is wearing. And congratulations on the big win, first of all. What made you enter Wild Thing back 5 years ago when you first started this? And what does it feel like to now finally win?
Yeah, actually, we did it on a dare. Somebody
Oh.
said, that's the ugliest dog I've ever seen. You've got to enter him in the ugly dog contest. And I thought, what the heck?
Yeah.
And that was 5 years ago. First year, he did nothing, but we had so much fun at the show.
Well, last year, second place.
Yes.
The year before
Okay.
that, second
Second
place. The
place.
year before that, second place.
Wow, runner-up,
Yeah.
runner-up.
So he was always a bridesmaid.
Now he's a top dog. Look at this guy. Can we walk him?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I gotta see this.
Come here, Wild Thing. Come here, Wild Thing. Look at this walk. It's kind of like a little Roomba. Come here, Wild Thing. Wild Thing. Come on. Come on. Come on over here.
This feels a little surreal.
Look at this. Okay, watch it.
He's hiding.
And he is such a hot little dog. He is the hottest dog.
Oh, yeah.
He actually has
wearing
ice,
fur
right?
coat.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. He sits on ice. Look
There
at
he
this. There he goes. Hi, guy.
Oh.
Hi.
Yeah, guys, you said he looked like moves like a Roomba. I totally
Yes,
see that.
like an Ewok Roomba.
An Ewok, that's exactly what I see here.
So tell us what was happening at the airport when people would see him on
Oh,
the
he
way
got
over here.
bombarded. He was in the crate most of the time, but as soon as we took him out of the crate, people were coming up to us. They've seen him on TV, and they had to have their pictures taken with them. And it's like I said, it's all about the cause. So
all about the cause. That's
It's-
right. And he's actually helped save some dogs in
Yes.
in Ukraine, right?
Yes, on his internet site, or her Netflix, Instagram site, we had a Save the Ukrainian Pekingese, and there was a Pekingese, some Pekingese in the war zone, and we were actually able to get 9 out of the Ukraine through Poland, through Turkey, 2 into Canada, and 7 into the United States in different homes.
Such a good cause.
So
I mean,
it really worked out, and he's also an advocate for vaccines. The reason why he looks the way he looks is because we had a rescue dog and it contracted distemper, and when it did, unfortunately, he caught it. And thousands of dollars later, the other dog sadly didn't make it. But because he had his first set of vaccines, he survived.
Wow.
Incredible.
So he's also an avid supporter of please get your dogs
A
vaccinated.
great
Get your dogs
cause.
vaccinated,
Wild Thing doing a whole lot of good.
Yes.
Yeah, we love
he's
to hear
such
that.
a little pillow. I'm going to come sit down over
Yeah,
there.
please. What breed is?
He's a Pekingese.
He's a Pekingese. Oh
Yeah.
wow, and that tongue, the hair. Have you ever given him a short haircut, or have you kept it?
He's never had a haircut.
Wow.
Never had a haircut.
That's
No,
incredible.
it's,
I wonder how
keeping it
small
long.
he'd be under there. All right.
He's about 8 pounds.
8 pounds.
He's 8 years
And
old
like 5 of it is like fur.
Yeah, that's incredible. Just quickly here, what are you going to do to celebrate this big win?
I think I'm going to give him a big apple. And we're also going to celebrate with some root beer.
He likes
some
apples
mug
and
root beer. Well, actually, Mug Root Beer sponsored the event, and they are even going to have a special commemorative can with his picture on it called Mug, Ugly Mug.
A collector's item,
And they
for
can
sure.
actually go on Mug Root Beer's Instagram site to enter a contest to win these special commemorative
Very
root beers.
cool. We'll definitely take a look at that. Ann Lewis, Wild Thing, Gotti Schwartz, thank you all for being here. Made my morning. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but your news continues right now.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.